Cool. Cool. Hello, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, hello. Everyone's slowly connecting. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. All right.
All right, Emma, is everybody connected?
We should all be connected.
Great. All right, good evening, everybody. This is Ned Clark and Emma Uri from Travel for Teens, coming at you live. Emma's on the West Coast. I'm in your hood. I'm just outside Plymouth White Marsh High School, where my oldest son, Cooper, is just completing his swim practice. So, if you ever thought, I wonder if Ned's a dad, Ned is definitely a dad. So in a moment or two, there's going to be my eldest popping in the back of my minivan. Yes, I drive a minivan. The goal of tonight is two parts. One, Emma is going to describe the itinerary in jealousy-inducing detail. I'm going to go through the most important things that you need to know and may already be familiar with in terms of your previous relationships with TFT and SBA. And then last but not least, at the very end, we're going to offer an FAQ session so that if families have questions after the itinerary, after I've gone through some of the basics, you can ask anything you'd like to know. So with that, Travel for Teens, you guys know us. We were a part of SBA since 2005. So it's very sad that it's not there, but we're very happy that we have an opportunity this year to curate the same meaningful experience for a group of Basil's alums, and potentially if there's a friend who may not have been a Basil alum who wants to go, or somebody who's affiliated with a group of 17 people who are currently enrolled, by all means, we welcome you guys to want to apply. This will be a private trip, though. This is not an open enrollment. Not just anyone can go. They have to be affiliated somehow with this group and with SBA. Group size, 21 participants and 3 staff. And then I'm spying my son right here and just flashing at him so he knows who I am. I know, just bear with me here. Yep, here he goes. Everyone's gonna get a nice cameo of my son popping in the back of the minivan.
Dad.
Yes, Cooper, I'm on it.
Dad just said your kid's super tall.
Yes, he is. All right, so Cooper, you're actually on a Zoom. Say hi, everybody. Come on up.
Hi.
All right. So, Coop, I'm gonna hang out. We're gonna hang out here for a second while I finish my part of the Zoom. And I'm gonna turn it over to Emma, and we'll start driving. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So, other important details. The trip cost is $29.95. So sorry, I think that
I can continue where Ned left off until he comes back on. I think he was about to say the trip cost, which is $2,995. That's outside of airfare, which we're budgeting at $1,100. That's a group flight that we have booked in. Go for it, Ned.
Yes. So on the website, we had said that we had reserved 14 spaces at $1,100 for the first 14 participants. We were able to add additional spaces to that group contract for the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, all the way to 21st person. Instead of being $1,100, it's going to be $1,200 just to add the extra seats. That's still $200 to $300 below market value of the same flights. So it's still a bargain in terms of flying from Philadelphia to Venice and then Nice back to Philadelphia. It's a chaperone group flight. So one of our 3 counselors for the trip will be on it. Now, in terms of the counselors, it's the same quality of staff who are first aid and CPR certified, trip director's a lifeguard, background check to the same level as the teachers, so state and federal clearances. And then in terms of the airfare, tomorrow, the operations team, who's chiefed by our director of operations, Seth Graham, will email all families and say, if you'd like, if you are one of the first 14, if you'd like a space on the group contract, you can. You are welcome to buy these flights on your own. You don't even have to take these flights. You could fly however you want to and meet us in Venice, and fly however you want to home from Nice. It's just up to you to coordinate with us whether you'd like to be on the group flight or on your own, under no obligation to do that. You can use your frequent flyer miles, you can use your credit card points, or you can buy it through us. Totally fine. Now, the two other costs that people should budget for this trip, one is trip insurance. Now, it's mandatory that you have trip insurance such that if your child is medically unable to travel, you have coverage, meaning, and that's $138. If you want to increase that value so that you're also covering the cost of the flight you buy through us, that'd be $215. Or you can do cancel for any reason, which would also include just border closures, or if for some reason the Omicron variant or the Delta variant or whatever variant of anything in this world makes you uncomfortable and you don't want to travel, you could still withdraw using the cancel for any reason premium insurance. The key thing to understand is you could only insure the value of what you paid through us with that policy. If you buy flights on your own or anything on your own, that's not covered under the policy I could sell you. Trip insurance can be very difficult. We understand that. We promise all of you that if you'd like to have a one-to-one conversation with the office about flights or insurance after this, you're more than welcome to do so. The last thing is spending money. Now, this is an all-inclusive trip in terms of all the accommodation, all the admissions, tips for the guides, all your ground transportation, all the cool stuff in the itinerary, it's included. What's not? Lunches, souvenirs, shopping, snacks. You know, what would you budget to eat lunch like a queen every day, plus some souvenirs and shopping? $200 to $300. Anything more than that would mean you're just trying to bring home a lot of souvenirs. So, you know, all in, you've got $29.95 for the airfare, $1,100 to $1,200 for the flight, trip insurance. Again, you don't have to buy it through us. You can either the low end, you're probably looking at, you know, $138 to $215, high end, you know, at most $385. But those are that's a premium level where you could cancel for any reason. And then spending money. Outside of that, there's no hidden costs. Now, with that, if people have any questions, feel free to raise their hand. Emma, I'm going to take my microphone off so that I can safely drive. I will be listening along. And if anyone has any questions at that point, you know, please feel free to ask them. And I do then, if there's no questions, and Emma, you can tell me if there's not, what I'm going to do is also explain about just a question that was broached to me directly by different parties about if families could pay for a former SBA teacher to join them. Emma, has anybody raised their hand and has a question so far? Okay, so then with that, the question was posed to me, Ned, if we as families wanted to pay for an SBA chaperone, could they join the trip? The answer is absolutely. I love SBA teachers. I'm friends with some of them still. So if you'd like to collectively pay for somebody, and I'm just going to pick a round number. Let's say it was $4,000. It won't be $4,000, but if 20 people wanted to each spend an extra $200 to put a fourth counselor on the trip of your choosing, like an SBA teacher, that's fine with us. I just don't want to obligate people to pay for a fourth chaperone if you don't need to. Our same staff that lead our trips in the summertime and who've led every SBA trip prior are the same people that we'll have on this trip. We'll have a trip director and then 2 senior counselors who are essentially a trip director in training. So it'll be 3 counselors for the 17 girls up to 21. Now, hypothetically, if the trip dropped down to 14, then we would have just 2 counselors on the trip because we do a 7-to-1 ratio. So we will poll the families afterwards if people want to pay the extra for it. But that's something we'll handle in the coming days. So with that, I've talked about the tuition, what's included, the flights, the trip insurance, and what else you could expect. And with that, what I'd like Emma to do is do what she does best. Talk about this amazing itinerary that she designed. She is the curator of this itinerary. So Emma, I'm going to turn off my video. Take it away.
All right, everyone. Before I get into the fun stuff, because itinerary, I think, is the fun part of the trip. It's where we get to dream and talk about what we're doing. Are there any questions based on those topics that we just covered? Are we all feeling good? Okay, we'll have another FAQ portion at the end of the time. So if there's any questions that come up while we're chatting, we can open the floor then. So the itinerary. TFT has been traveling for 20 years, we know the best places. You're going to feel like you're traveling with your best friend. And we are taking the tour to Italy and France, the best of the Mediterranean on this short tour. Venice, Florence, the Cinque Terre, and Nice. It's going to be great. We start off in Venice. So we'll land, hit the ground, walk and wander through the canals, do a walking tour in Venice, check off everything that we need to do, get the best photos. With the best viewpoints, we know where to get the best food in Venice. Italian pizza, go see glass blowing on Murano Island, take the Vaporettos around their little water taxi services. We'll visit some museums. It'll be really nice. It will be very unique, and Venice has been super quiet due to COVID. So it's exciting to be able to go back before all of the crowds inundate this city. Then we'll head over to Florence. We'll catch our train. Italy is great with their train systems, super convenient. So we'll just hop on the train like travelers, head over to Florence, check into our hotel. Something we haven't mentioned yet, all of our accommodations are top notch at TFT. So top rated hostel in Venice, and then the rest are 3-4-star hotels where we're staying, which is great. We'll get to Florence, we'll climb the Duomo, visit the Accademia, see Michelangelo's David in person, go on some gelato tours, eat delicious Italian food, go to different markets, leather markets, things like that. We're really into photography at TFT. So we'll be taking photos of your children while we're doing this, but also teaching them, if they're into photography, what to capture, things like that. Head up to the Piazza Michelangelo for a sunset photo shoot, which is one of my favorite things because you have all of Florence just laid out beneath you, which is really idyllic. And it's something that Italians do on their own in the evening. One of the best things about our itineraries, as I'm running through it, it all kind of sounds like it's just the typical things we do, but our guides have lived in these places. They've traveled extensively, and we travel like we like to travel on our own. With the teens. So we're going to stop and take the time to find the hidden corners and try the local little snacks and give them tidbits. So it's really great. Then we head out to Cinque Terre. We hop on the train again, head over to Monterosso, which is one of the 5 villages. The Cinque are 5 villages along the coast, the Adriatic coast in Italy. They're all really beautiful, idyllic, beachy towns built onto the rock side. So kind of like a mini Amalfi Coast. And not a lot of people actually go there. I think it's quite popular with European tourism, but not so popular with American tourists. So we have a great hotel that's on the largest town with a full beach. And so we'll enjoy the beach time there. Just really quintessential European summer living. And then they're really known for their hiking trails. So you can actually walk from each village to the next. For those who are super adventurous, we can try and hit all 5. It is doable in a day. We have done it and we do it a lot on our tours, but it's really this nice, like we'll go from one town to the other. You hike up and you're wandering through vineyards and olive groves along the seaside. So you have the sea beneath you and you're coming above these towns that look like jewels. They're all colored buildings, which is great. So that's what we'll do in the Cinque Terre. We'll go swimming in the Aegean, or not the Aegean, in the Mediterranean, sorry. And it'll be great. So that wraps up our time in Italy. We hit 2 major cities, 3 incredible regions. We're going to see where the land of focaccia and pesto come from. We'll pass Parma, so Parmesan cheese. If people are foodies, this is definitely the tour for them. And then we head over to France. We hop again on the train, head over to Nice. So the French Riviera, we are going to see the best of the French summertime. We'll get settled in, do a walking tour of the city, climb some fortresses up to the cliffside for, again, views, and have dinner. And then our time in Nice, we'll visit this village called Eze. I don't pronounce that right because I don't speak French, unfortunately, but it is a beautiful medieval town that's set on a cliffside. Incredible for walking and just feeling like you're transported to a different century. We'll visit a perfume factory, which is a typical de Fragonard perfume factory. And then we'll head to the beach for our last afternoon in Europe. Enjoy the French beachside, see how it compares to the Italian Mediterranean, and then get ready for our fancy final dinner and come home. That's our trip in a nutshell. It's going to be great. I love all of these places. I think it's an incredible combination of European city living and then incredible summer living. So yeah, that is the itinerary. Before I continue on, are there any questions about what types of activities we're doing, what we're visiting? No.
Emma, while you're waiting for people to raise their hands, I'm just going to touch on a few things on this. So in all of the accommodations that Emma has talked about, we're staying in centrally located accommodations. They have 24-hour security, and they're clean, they're safe, they have Wi-Fi, and they're team friendly. Throughout the trip, you'll be able to keep in touch with your daughter. She's welcome to bring her phone on the trip, although we have one main guiding principle is that we want everyone to have both feet abroad when they're on the trip. And so that means when we're outside of the hotel, you can use your phone for photos, videos, or communicating with the group. But other than that, we'd like you to then refrain from social media when we're outside the hotel. Not a very strict rule, but it's just guidance for getting the most out of the experience. The other things are, and Emma touched on it, we are foodies. Breakfast is at the accommodation everywhere we go. And then, sorry, I'm just trying to get the light from my garage to it. All right, Coop's gonna say goodbye. Say goodbye, Coop. So in terms of the breakfasts are all at the hotels. Lunch is on the go. And we'll bring you to some of our favorite places where you can order, and we'll help guide you so that you're eating really great food without spending a ton of money. And then for dinner, we're going to Italian or French restaurants, the Niçoise, which is the people from Nice. And you can order off the menu. And we're going to make sure that it's more than just pizza and more than just pasta. And you're getting to try some of the local delicacies. We can handle almost any dietary restriction, and that's something that you'll let us know about later. If you have questions about any dietary restrictions, you can let us know. In terms of why we picked this itinerary, we were told you guys wanted to see great cities, cool history, and beautiful beaches. Nice and the Cinque Terre has great beaches. The hiking there is legendary. And for those of you who are Disney fans, the movie Luca, which just came out within the last year, is set in the Cinque Terre. And so if you've seen that, you think it's beautiful. I do think it's a great movie, but again, I'm the dad who's got kids who watch it all the time. It is really that beautiful, and it's very accurate. Florence, the birthplace of the Renaissance. When we're in, in terms of the, when we're in Venice, we will go out to the island of Murano, which is where all the master glassblowers were banished 800 years ago. We will be visiting the Doge's Palace. You're going to get to see St. Mark's Square. If you chase pigeons, you're not really supposed to, but if in your mind that's what you're supposed to do, yeah, I guess you could chase pigeons while you're there. Most importantly, we are taking public transit, as Emma alluded to throughout the trip, because this is going to be an experience where you're not just visiting these places, but you're getting great traveler know-how so that you could navigate these places in the future on your own. And so it's not just the itinerary, but it's great knowledge that you're learning in terms of the history of the places, as well as how to navigate these places so that you could do it on your own in the future. The value for families is that we're going to have 3 counselors, so we can split up into smaller groups at any given time to be able to accommodate a wider range. The traditional student-led tour, and I'm not taking any shots at any other companies, is everyone all together with just one guide, and everyone's doing the same thing all at once. We have 3 guides, so we can split into different groups and have different interests. That's something that's very unique to TFT. Other programs don't let you order off the menu. We do. We're very happy with it. Most programs will just stick you on a tour bus. We're teaching you how to take public transit in terms of riding the buses as we go around. And this is, why I think this is a very, great tour. Now, we did just have a question from one of the audience, and that was, what is the current vaccination requirements? So in order to be compliant with this, with Italy's requirements, you need to be fully vaccinated in order to eat at indoor restaurants and go to museums. And so at this time, we're not able to accommodate people fully on this itinerary, either in Italy or in France, in terms of the indoor eating requirement and museum requirement, if somebody is not compliant with the health requirements, which is to be vaccinated against COVID. I understand that it is a personal decision, and while TFT does not require vaccinations ourselves, many of our destinations, such as Italy and France, do in order to fully cooperate and get the most out of the experience. That is obviously something that could change in either way between now and departure, but as it currently stands, we would be unable to accommodate people who couldn't go to the museums and only can eat at outdoor restaurants. And I hope, that's on, everyone's thing. Now, the question was about the Omicron. So in terms of Omicron versus any other variant, broadly speaking, as long as these destinations are open, there's probably going to be COVID there, to be very candid. So what is most important is if somebody feels uncomfortable in terms of traveling in the time of COVID, then you should get the premium trip insurance, because you can voluntarily withdraw and recoup your tuition that's paid to TFT with the premium insurance. The standard insurance, if you voluntarily withdraw and it's not a covered reason, i.e. you're just afraid of COVID, then you're not able to get it. So there, I hope this, and the question is, do they have to have a booster? That's a great question. Right now, Italy and France are not requiring a booster, but it is very possible that their definition of fully vaccinated by June of next year could include requiring a booster. That remains to be seen. As of right now, the booster is not required to be considered fully vaccinated as of right now. Obviously, the health requirements for any country are subject to change. And so it's something that people should be prepared to be compliant with if they're going to be traveling internationally right now. Those are great questions. Emma, were there any other questions? I saw a couple pop up at the bottom. Are there any other that I didn't answer so far?
Yeah, do you want to turn to posting photos and what communication between TFT and the families as the trip's running?
Sure. All right. So in broadly speaking terms, from the moment you register until the trip, we're always there for you. You can email us 7 days a week. You can call our office 5 days a week. And it's always been an open offer and a genuine one from SBA families. You're welcome to stop by our office anytime you want. We're in Wayne. We're not too far, on one condition. If you're afraid of dogs or allergic, don't come, because I have a really friendly Labrador who comes to the office every day. And I don't want you to have an allergic reaction or be scared. She would gladly welcome you. In terms of communication, other things is we don't want to blow up your inbox with unnecessary communication. So between now and January, we are working with families to get them situated with flights, paperwork, and trip insurance, and any questions they may have. We'll make, and then as the trip gets closer in April and May, our communication will start to increase again, and we'll have a pre-departure meeting in May, about 1 month ahead of time. It'll be a similar webinar format to go over the details of the trip, transportation, as well as to meet the leadership of your trip. We're going to make sure that the counselors on the trip, you get to Zoom with them and know who they are. Once the trip director is introduced, that's when the trip director will take over in terms of communication. And so now on the trip itself, as soon as the trip lands, the trip director will ask the office to send off an email saying, hey, the group has arrived safely. And then every 48 hours, you're going to get an email from the director saying, hey, we just had the best time in Venice. We're now in Florence. We just, we walked in the footsteps of the Renaissance. We're now basking in the beautiful sun in the Cinque Terre. And then we finished it off to practice our French in Nice, in the south of France. And you'll be able to WhatsApp with the trip director throughout the trip. Email is preferred. And what Emma alluded to as well is that all of our counselors are equipped with a DSLR camera. And this is also something that's very unique to TFT. So we consider ourselves your personal paparazzi. We'll take great photos of your children throughout the trip and post them for free to a parent photo website. It's called Waldo Photos. And you can download those photos in low resolution for free. If you want them in high resolution without a TFT watermark in the corner, then you pay $50. And those downloads are available in real time. Now, I believe there was one other question that pertained to flights, Emma. Can you help me read what that question was?
If flights are purchased separately, are there times they should adhere to for meeting the group and departing from the group?
That's a great question. The answer is yes. We would like in terms of if families want to purchase their own flights, independent of the chaperone group flight, we give you a window of time to arrive in Venice and to depart from Nice. Those windows are most easily described as long as you land at the same time as the group flights, which are published in the agenda that we've emailed out, or before, no problem. And in terms of the return, as long as it doesn't depart more than a half an hour prior to our group flight, would be able to accommodate it. More than half an hour prior to the group flight's departure in Nice would mean we'd send one of the counselors in a taxi to the airport with your daughter. The fee for that independent transfer is $100. But if you're able to take the same transportation that we've organized, either in from Venice or back to the airport in Nice, there's no additional charge to fly independently. It was a great question. So we talked about flights. We've talked now at this point, if this sounds like a good trip, you may already be enrolled. Now, if you're not enrolled and you're considering this evening, there are 4 spaces left. We've reserved for 21 people. There are 17 currently enrolled. And if you're on the fence and just want a day to think about it, I don't think the last spaces are going to be snapped up tonight. But we are more than happy to talk with you tomorrow to make sure that it feels comfortable for you. After you register, Kristen. All right, so there was 2 questions. One question was about passport application time. One thing was about the agenda. Kristen, the agenda was in the email today announcing the Zoom link. We're more than happy to re-email it to you after the meeting. Passport application right now for standard is averaging 12 to 18 weeks turnaround time. So it's something where you have plenty of time to renew your passport now. You need at least 6 months of validity on the passport. So the trip returns June 23rd of 2022. Your passport needs to be valid through June 23rd, 2022. December 23rd, 2022, it still needs to be valid. 6 months of validity. I think I answered that question. I saw it pop up very briefly about passports. Now Emma, in terms of the deposit structure, it's a $500 deposit, second payment of $750, and then the balance is due in 3 installments. Now, if you're going to buy the airfare from us, we're happy to split that up into 2 payments or one, as long as the airfare is paid in full by February 1st, that's fine because it's a group contract. We just have to submit payment to the airlines for those tickets sometime in February. So if anyone has any question about the flights, again, we'll email you all the details about tomorrow. You can also decide at that point if you'd like to be on the flight or if you would prefer to book your own flights. Totally fine. We'll happily work with you either way. So with that, I don't know if there's any other questions that have been posed that I haven't gone over yet, or if you feel there's anything else in the agenda you think that it's worthy of us repeating, because I think we've gone over the most key things right now that people would need to know when considering if this is a good trip for them. All right, so we're going to go once, twice, 3 times the charm. If there's no more questions, please know. There's a great question about in terms of alcohol, in terms of a glass of wine. In the paperwork packet, you as parents will be able to sign off permission for your child to be able to sample a glass of local beer or wine under the supervision of Travel for Teens. On a trip like this, as it was with SBA, we would want to treat them as grown-ups and offer occasionally through the trip the opportunity to have a glass of wine in Italy or wine in France. It's not something that's every night, and it's not a wink wink, lots, here's 2 or 3 or 4 glasses. It's a glass of wine or it's a beer. It's something where we want to treat the cultural experience of having a glass of wine or a beer with a meal with adults, which is part of the culture in Italy and in France, and not have it be something that's taboo. So that's something that families can choose to approve of if they'd like to. It was a great question. Is there anything else that somebody would ask? And again, if you wake up tomorrow and you have questions, we're very human. You can reach out to us anytime. Okay. I don't think there's any other questions right now. So, but if you guys have any other questions, reach out to us anytime. Any closing thoughts, Emma, before we let everyone pass out for the evening?
No, I just want to thank you all for joining us this evening. You'll be hearing more as we're getting closer to the trip for those who are already enrolled, either from me or from the office. So it's going to be a great trip. I'm very jealous. I really love it. So I'm excited for the daughters to be able to travel.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, everybody, much love to all of you. There's a lot of familiar names and faces on this call tonight. So big shout out to everyone who I've met in person and seen before. Thank you all for your time. Emma, thank you for your time, and have a great evening, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.